Pete is Mr. Motivator. They nailed their draft, and all 5 or 6 of those draft picks were productive. Kenneth Walker was a find, and I'll say this. Geno Smith is one of the top 5 shocks of my broadcasting career. He was number 1 in the league in completion percentage. He was a bust. He was number 5 in passer rating. What the Seahawks did to turn around and support Geno Smith is as nutty as I've ever seen. I was totally wrong, and I've never been happier to be wrong. The Seahawks are in the playoffs.
Where Colin was right.
The Chiefs' offense was just fine without Tyreek Hill. The media freaked out. Oh, my God, Tyreek Hill. Yeah, Mahomes is probably going to win MVP, the number 1 total offense. He had a better completion percentage without Tyreek Hill. He had more touchdown passes without Tyreek Hill. I said, it will look different. They may not score as quickly. They don't have the world's fastest football player. But this franchise is not about wide receivers. It's about Mahomes and Andy Reid. Quarterbacks and offensive geniuses make wide receivers, not vice versa.
Where Colin was wrong.
Well, not only did the Rams miss the playoffs, but Sean McVay is considering leaving. I did not see that one coming. I mean, I get it. He's tired of losing to Kyle Shanahan, and he's got his Super Bowl ring. But that puppy escalated quickly. I knew the roster was thin at the top, but the offensive line fell apart. They drafted a guard. He got hurt in camp. They have to go get another tackle. So right now they're the 2nd or 3rd most talented team in their roster, and Seattle's got a boatload of picks. So San Francisco's got a lot more talent. After this draft, the Seahawks will probably have a lot more talent. So the Rams have been a shock to me. I was wrong.
Where Colin was right.
But I had the Patriots missing the playoffs, and I've been on this for 2 years. They have no offensive sensibility whatsoever. Joe Judge helping with offense. Matt Patricia, give me a break. Belichick has become, I want to only coach certain players. I want to only work with certain coaches. It's about winning. It's not about making Bill Belichick comfortable. So this one, they're slow. They were 26th in total offense. And I'll say this, Mac Jones isn't the problem. Mac Jones played very well yesterday. Good enough, in large part, to win. Mac Jones is not the problem.
Where Colin was right.
Everybody bailed on the Bengals, and when they lost in week 2 to the Cowboys, they played a great second half, and I said, nope, do not bail. Burrow had a major surgery. I see it. Here they come. I had them number 1 a month ago in the herd hierarchy. I believe if their offensive line, if Kappa plays throughout the playoffs, they'll win the Super Bowl. Now, who knows? They play Baltimore now back-to-back, which is weird. We don't know if Lamar's going to play. But their defense is strong. It just doesn't have a lot of big names. I love this organization at the top. They are now the hottest team in the league, and we called it.
Where Colin was wrong.
I've been wrong on Dan Campbell badly. Now, some of it's Ben Johnson, but they're the best non-playoff team in the league to watch. His team plays incredibly hard. They play with passion. They're slick offensively. He's got that team believing in him. Their O-line outside of right guard is strong. They have to upgrade a little bit there, but their tackles in center are outstanding. I thought last night was why we love the NFL. And Campbell, by the way, has become a little bit more stoic. He's a big emotional guy on the sidelines last night. He's not a yeller. He's not a screamer. He looks very stoic. He's pulled some emotion back. He looks like an adult. I was wrong on Dan Campbell. I don't mind being wrong on Dan Campbell because he looks like the nicest guy in the world. He literally looks like, of all the coaches in the NFL, if you had to have a beer with one, he wins that. He would win first, second, and third. Dan Campbell, tip of the cap to you and the organization. Now keep Ben Johnson. Pay him whatever you got to pay him. Keep Ben Johnson.
Where Colin was right.
I said the Miami Dolphins would make the playoffs, but at the end of the year, we would be asking the questions. Is it Tua or Mike McDaniel? I've always had my reservations about a quarterback that's small, doesn't have a power arm, not overly athletic, and has been banged up in college and the pros. This season for the Dolphins turned out largely exactly what I thought. They sneak into the playoffs because New England has no feel for offense. But in the end, you're going to be sitting there going, what do we do? Extension for Tua? I don't think you can. I think you have to have adult conversations. But they got in, and for that, we were right.
Where Colin was right.
And my number one right was the Minnesota Vikings. They won 8 last year. I said I thought they could be a 14-win team. They won 13. I said I like the hire Kevin O'Connell. Kirk Cousins is the kind of guy that needs support. Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins didn't get along, and because of it, they lost virtually every close game. This year, they won virtually every close game. So Kirk Cousins was 5th in touchdown passes, 4th in passing yards. We picked them to win the division. We picked them to win it easily. We picked them to win the close games they lost last year. That's probably as good a pick as we had. I thought they'd win 14 games. I thought they were gonna. When I looked at their schedule, you start looking at their schedule. If they had any semblance of like a run defense, they could have won like 15 games. Like they got blasted twice by teams that could run the football. Green Bay ran all over them. Dallas runs. So Minnesota is now. I think they're going to get beat by the Giants. I think they have a totally low ceiling, and they get beat by the Giants. All right, Albert Breer is now joining us, Monday morning quarterback, lead guy for them. All right, so Kingsbury's fired. Lovey's fired. So here was my theory on Arizona. J-Mac and I disagree, is that we know since Brady left New England that if you have a great quarterback and you have a great coach, it's still a 60-40, 65-35. Quarterback's more important than the coach. Is that right. Kyler Murray can drive me crazy, but he's the star, and he was elevating, and then he and Kingsbury and the GM don't get along. As much as it pains me to say it, I gotta go find a GM and a coach that get along with Kyler Murray. He's the franchise. So are you shocked by the move?
Well, I mean, the problem is, and you know, so many of these owners have more money than they know what to do with, but you can get out of a coach contract by stroking a check. You can get out of a GM contract by stroking a check. It doesn't work that way with quarterback contracts. And, you know, both in Arizona and Denver, you know, for everything that happened over the last 4 months in those two places, those franchises have hitched their wagons logistically, financially, you know, all of it is connected to the quarterback. And so, you know, that's the one piece that you can't move off of after you do one of these contracts. And so they have to find a way to make it work with Kyler Murray. And that's why I think there's a likelihood in Arizona that we see internal promotions. You know, they have a couple guys in their personnel department. One is a name that everybody knows, Adrian Wilson. Quentin Harris is another guy who's been there forever. I think those two guys wind up running the football operation. I think there's a good chance, Colin, that they wind up just promoting Vance Joseph, because Vance Joseph has had coaching experience and he's got a good relationship with Kyler. And so I don't know if it's going to be a total shakeup here, but you know, whatever happens, I think you're right to think that they have to find a way to get the quarterback right, because he's the one person in that organization that they are logistically hitched to in that sort of way.
Okay, so I'd said this. Brandon Staley, I think when you're young and smart, and I think he's both, and inexperienced, he's all three. I don't think he's a dummy. He's a smart guy. But sometimes you're learning on the job. Could have been your first reporting job. My first you're learning on the job. So he comes into the NFL with very little experience as a head coach. And yesterday I felt like, dude, you didn't play guys in preseason. Why are you playing Bosa, Derwin James, Mike Williams, injury-prone guys in a game that doesn't matter? Let's say they go to Jacksonville. Mike Williams can't play, and they get rolled. Sean Payton's hanging out there.
I know.
I mean, come on, Albert. If he gets rolled and Mike doesn't play,
I know.
What do you make
know,
of it?
like those? I mean, I connect, you know, the Chargers to Dallas too. Like, I think those two are places where people have their eyes on them and saying, like, if things don't go well in the first round, could this go the other way? And I think Brandon Staley's done a good job in LA with the Chargers. I think Mike McCarthy has done a really good job on balance with the Cowboys this year and winning without the quarterback for a month and replacing the left tackle for 3 months with a rookie. I think both those guys have done good jobs, but I think both those franchises, for different reasons, are in a spot where they want to win right now. For Dallas, it's about the core that they have. For the Chargers, it's about the quarterback. And it's, are we getting enough out of the quarterback? And we're going to have to pay him soon, and things are going to change for us after we pay our quarterback. And we've got all these players who are right in the prime of their careers. And then you look at this situation, and again, I think Brandon Staley, over the first 2 years, has shown a ton of promise as a head coach. The problem that he has here is Mike Williams is a guy who's been hurt. And not only has he been hurt, he's had back issues.
Yep.
So for this particular injury to flare up in this way, and then Bosa goes down, and Bosa's another guy who's had injuries. And so it's not just the idea of resting guys, because I think most of us would agree, like if you're not playing as well as you think you should be playing at the end of the year,
Yeah.
I can see why you'd want to keep